Good morning, everybody, and happy Aloha Friday. Welcome to PSG of Mercer County. The Professional Service Group of Mercer County is a group that is here for you, anybody who is in any career transition. We are here to hopefully help you make your job search more efficient and more effective through the programs and the resources that we have. And for this Aloha Friday, because it's the week before the Christmas holiday and the New Year's right after, I am wearing my holiday Hawaiian shirt. It's got some Santas and reindeers and palm trees. So it's very much, I guess, an Aloha shirt. And I was looking to see what else was special about December 18th. Of course, it's special today because we are all together. And I happened to find there happened to be a lot of celebrity birthday today. So there are a lot of celebrity birthdays. What a coincidence. So just found a bunch of them. Christina Aguilera, the singer and entertainer, is 39. The rapper DMX, he's 49. The singer Billie Eilish is now legal, although she can't drink. She's 18. Actress Katie Holmes is 41. Actor Ray Liotta, one of the fun bad guys in the movies, 65. So he's going to be collecting Medicare. And Brad Pitt's 56. I can hardly believe that. He always looks so young. Keith Richards, not only is the oldest that on my list, but he looks the oldest. He's 76. And Steven Spielberg is 73. All have birthdays today, so happy birthdays to those celebrities. For those of you that are fans of the celebrities, you may like to know that information. So that's what we have in our trivia for the day. We do have lots of resources, as I mentioned. We do have our LinkedIn group. It is called PSG of Mercer County. If you are not yet a member of the LinkedIn group, I encourage you and invite you to put in a request to join the group. Our group is a bit of a private group. It is public that everybody can see it. We didn't hide it that way, but we do not accept just anybody. We accept only you. Only members that have been to at least one of our virtual meetings or in-person meetings. Clearly, we're not holding in-person meetings right now. So do search for our group on LinkedIn in the group section, PSG of Mercer County. And when the page opens, there will be a join button. So click the join button. And then what we do is we look at his previous attendance of meetings and try to find that the person who's requesting has attended at least one meeting. If not, we will send an email just reminding that's a request of us. So the reason why we do that, not just to make us an exclusive club, that's not it at all, but we're trying to keep out the people that are joining only for their own benefit, the list collectors, the name collectors, those types of people that are really just in it for themselves. We want this group to be used for us. And then once you're a member, look at some of the postings that are there. You're able to, and other people do. They share articles, they share job leads, all sorts of information. And so you may find some very useful information. It is a pretty active group, so you're certainly welcome to join us. I hope that you can. And the other nice thing about LinkedIn groups is that you now can connect to those people, the people in the group, even if they are not yet your first degree connections. So it's a nice way to extend your connections, the number of connections that you have, simply by joining the LinkedIn group. Right? So that's an opportunity as well. So a lot of resources there. We also have our website. I've shown it a couple of times over the past few weeks. Not going to pop it up today. And but it is called psgofmercercounty.org, psgofmercercounty.org. It's not just a landing page. If you're new to PSG of Mercer County, either today or only in the recent weeks, haven't had a chance to look at the website, we have over 120 pages of content. Over 120. So it's a lot of information, and there are a lot of things that we talk about: getting started in job search, what happens if you're stuck, guidance and advice for networking. We do have sample documents like sample resumes, sample cover letter, sample thank you letter. So you have a lot of resources there. So certainly feel free to take a look at our website, download those documents if you need them. They're in Word, so you can download them and edit them if you like. We have job postings page, that's brand new, so there have been some job postings, about 20 or 25 that are there right now. We have job boards pages where we've connected to companies 2,600 companies' career pages, and that's just in Mercer and the 6 border counties. So you may want to look for that as well. And if you look on our professional development tab, we now have links to 53 e-learning websites. So if you want to spend a little bit of time learning something new or getting caught up in some technology or some other tools, you may be able to find some online classes through there. So a lot of information that we've made available for you. Just a moment, we will kick off the panel, but I do want to talk about what the experience is going to be for us. We certainly want to minimize any sort of confusion. So we are going to use chat as not really the Q&A. That's what we've done in the past. In a moment, as you have a question, we are going to ask you, turn on your mic and ask your question of either the whole panel, and someone will pick someone to answer that, or if there's someone specific that you want to answer, that's fine. And so this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to use chat for you to like digitally raise your hand. I've got all these little squares in front of me, but I can't see you because you've turned your cameras off. Thank you. And but what you'll do is use chat and just write the word question and then send it to everybody so I can see it. I mean, you can send it to me too, but send it to everybody. You don't have to type your question. You don't have to write your question in there, but it's kind of alerting to me that you have a question of the panelists. And then I will read the question out loud to everybody. I'm sorry. And I will then recognize you. You will then turn on your microphone and ask your question. And so this way it becomes a bit more personal and interactive, even though this is a fairly large webinar. We've got 60 of us on the call right now. It's likely to get just a little bit bigger. So that's what it's going to be. You're going to use chat. Now, if you're not familiar yet with GoToMeeting, in the upper right corner of your GoToMeeting screen are some icons. You might see it looks like 2 people with the number 60 next to it. And the one next to that is a cartoon call out, a circle with a little tab at the end. That's chat. And then you click that, the chat opens, and in there you can enter your message near the bottom. Do make sure at the bottom where it says send to, that you send it to everybody or send it to me, either one, but everyone will be helpful. And that way, in case the career coaches are looking, and I will be the moderator and just take your questions in order. And so that's what we're going to do today. You know, and if as the program goes along, if there are people that have left their microphone on or camera on, I'll just quickly turn those off just to help for all of us to have the experience of seeing the career coaches. Okay, so that is our program today. And so let me just welcome our wonderful panel of career coaches. I have a brief introduction for each one. You may know some, you may not know everybody. And so Chrystal McArthur is a career development professional and founder of Chrystal Nova, with more than 40 years of providing services for individuals and groups in transition via coaching, resume writing, career counseling, and career education in a supportive environment. So please welcome Chrystal. Gary Landy is a career coach focused on helping his clients land interviews by perfecting their master resumes and LinkedIn profiles and writing outstanding cover letters and thank you letters. So we welcome Gary. Madeleine Elmgren is an established career coach and outplacement specialist. Madeleine provides a safe, comfortable environment where clients can discuss and explore career concerns, challenges, and goals. She helps individuals with their job search strategy, which includes career changes, resumes, cover letters, interview skills, and overall career management. So let us welcome Madeleine. And Alan Kirshner is a career coach with his own company, Kirshner Coaching Solutions. His passion is to help clients secure their next great employment opportunity. He provides assistance with job search strategies, interview preparation, salary and benefits negotiation, LinkedIn profile creation, and resume development. So PSG of Mercer County is very pleased to welcome our panel of esteemed career coaches. Okay, so like I said, if you have a question, just post in chat question. But maybe I'll kick one off just to kind of get us started a little bit. And I'm going to ask this of the person who's got the most years of experience, at least from what it's said, Chrystal in your bio. And I'm wondering, if I choose to work with a coach, how much time do I actually need to dedicate to the coaching process?
So, good morning to all. It really depends on your personal situation. Some people have been out of the workforce or haven't looked for work for many years. And so they're unsure about, exactly what they need to do to prepare themselves and to really put their best foot forward. Some people have concerns related not only to, their next steps in a career, but also there are issues around family issues and, just what is viable today. So the sessions can be anywhere from 2 to 3 sessions to ongoing 5, 6, or 7. So it really depends on the personal situations. When I work with people, sometimes they come and they say, I just need a resume written so that I can go out for a job search. But in reality, there are many other things that they need to prepare to present themselves in the best light. So it really depends on the person.
Okay, terrific. Thank you very much. So folks, this is your career panel. I don't mean the panelists, I mean everybody else who's not a career coach. So this is your opportunity to speak with a career coach. And so please, if you have a question, hopefully somebody does. I've got a couple, but I'm going to run out fast. But if you do, please put your, kind of electronically raise your hand by putting the word question in chat, and we will get to your questions. An opportunity for you to speak with a number of career coaches. And so, Alan, I'm wondering, what can I do if I was going to work with a career coach? What can I do to get the greatest benefit out of working with a career coach?
That's a great question, David. Thanks for asking. It's really important that it's a two-way street. So you need to be committed to doing it. And typically when I'm working with clients, we'll have a session and then there will be follow-up to-dos and homework to do. So you need to be committed to taking the steps that we agree to, and that, it's basically your goal. So it's a matter of what you want to accomplish. So there's the work, during the session, but there's even more work after the session to do the follow-ups in order to be effective.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Oops, hope I don't mute the wrong person. There, good. Very good, thank you. And folks, remember, ask your questions, write the word question in chat. We're eager to help you and to answer your curiosity about working with career coaches. I'm wondering, Gary, do all career coaches offer the same type of coaching service?
Well, I can't speak for all coaches, but in my case, I have a specialty, and my focus is in doing what I think is the #1 goal of anyone who's in job search, and that is landing interviews. So my focus and my specialty is, first of all, helping people to develop an outstanding resume, an excellent LinkedIn profile, and how to use the power of cover letters submitted with resumes to help people stand out among the competition. And of course, this is very important because when we converse, if we say something that we want to retract or change, it's easy to do that. But when you put something in writing, it's pretty indelible and it's there forever. So I kind of underline the importance of using the best language and the best and easiest presentation of your written information in order to make it easiest for the reader to understand it and become very, very interested in you as a candidate.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That is clear. While there's some career coaches that help with a wide range of services, Gary focuses or specializes. Also, I know Alex Freund, who's on the call, he specializes in interview preparation and may not focus on other things. So some career coaches will be a bit more targeted or specialists. Okay, we do have some questions coming in, or digital raising of hands. So the first is Julie. So Julie, if you turn your microphone on and ask your question, it could be to any one coach, or if not, one of them will answer for you.
Okay, thank you. If somebody's at a point where they're really considering a totally new career path and they're not sure what they want to do, how would you help somebody in that position, number one? And number two, what tools do you have that you might use? And have you worked with people in that way before?
Okay, maybe we'll offer that to Madeleine, because we didn't ask her a question yet. So did you hear that well enough, Madeleine?
Yes, I did. Hi,
cool.
Julie, how are you? That's a very good question, and actually a lot of my clients do find themselves in that same position where they're looking to do something different, either because they're struggling to find a role in the same industry, or doing the same thing, or they just want to do something completely different. So I refer to that as just career changes. And there are different ways that you can explore what would be the best option for you. One of the things I like to do with clients is just point them to personality assessment. You can't hear me? David, can you hear me?
I do hear you. Maybe if you just
Now,
get a little closer to your microphone, maybe, or your computer.
Well, it's actually right on my ear.
Oh, okay.
I can't get too much closer. All right, that's okay, Julie. Sorry. Let me repeat it if you just interrupt me if you don't hear me. What I was saying is that there are things that you can do, and I do have clients that actually are looking to change careers, either because they're struggling to find a position in what they were doing before, or perhaps just because they wanted a change. They want to do something different. So for my clients that are actually looking to do that, I start off with asking them to, first I have a 20-question questionnaire that I provide just to get a little bit of insight of where their head's at, so to speak. And then I really point them towards some personality assessments. I like the Myers-Briggs assessment, perhaps you've heard of it. That one really is based on whether or not you think intuitively, if you make your decisions on your gut feeling, you're more scientific, you're introvert or extrovert. And the reason I like this one is because it really does make you, if you answer honestly, it's about 63 questions, it makes you think about those things that maybe you haven't thought about for a long time. Like maybe you've been working as in an analytical position, but you're also creative. So it really does give you an idea of other things that you could do. Aside from that, I also think it's great to research. Do a lot of research. I'm very big on that. And there are websites out there. The Department of Labor has websites where you can actually look at different roles and see what it entails. What is the, obviously, salary base? What's the education requirements? What can you expect? But really, this is a great opportunity when you're deciding to do something different to see how you can transfer those skills that you have developed through the years, right? Not just in schooling, but also on the job training, and get to that next level. And believe me, when you find that new role that you're interested in, you'll know. It's like this light bulb will just go on right over your head and you'll realize it. It's a great feeling. I've seen it many times.
Okay.
Any other
very much.
questions?
Oh, good.
No worries.
Good.
I think I'm
So,
good right now. Thank you.
good. Thank you, Madeleine. Thank you, Julie. John Sampson has a question. So, John, if you also unmute yourself and ask a question to a coach.
Yeah, this is a question for all of you. As we speak today, how many individual clients are you each coaching?
I can respond to that one, David.
All right.
Well, I'd like a response from all of you.
Okay. I generally am working with 2 or 3 people at a time, and I try to limit it because a lot of what I do with development of documents requires a lot of back and forth email traffic. And in order to make sure that I'm really on top of what people are looking for, what they're saying, how they express their experience and their accomplishments and development of value propositions, I find working with about 3 at a time is all that I can handle, leaving me with a feeling that I can do my very best for the client.
Okay.
I am, in fact, working with 3 people right now.
Alan?
Chrystal?
Yes, Robert, good morning. At this moment, My primary business is resume writing. And when I say resume writing, that's the LinkedIn profile, cover letters, and all of those things, the documents. So right now I have 3 people that I'm finishing up with and starting 1 new person. And I have to, this person is interesting because the person is in the medical field and has not, job searched for a very long time. They did not have to job search for a very long time. So I anticipate that I'll be spending a good deal of time with this individual, helping him. And, he says, I'm an old timer, so some of the things, he was not familiar with LinkedIn. He's not, up on a lot of the technology and all, Twitter and Instagram. Those things are not in his purview. So it's, it really depends. But I prefer, because of the other things that I do, I also have a program, a SIM program that I work with high school students. I like to limit the number of people that I work with at any time.
Okay. Hey, Alan.
Yes, thank you for the question. I'm working with 5 people now. It's I like to be high touch also, so it's important, for me to be accessible to people, and I'm doing some other things as well too. So that's my number at the moment, subject to change.
And Madeleine?
Okay. Actually, and I think we all probably agree and think the same way that the less number of clients you're working on at any one time, really the more time you can devote to them. So having said that, I currently have, I'm trying to remember here, about 6 clients, but it's 6 clients and half of them are actually resumes, and I'm waiting. So it's not like it's 6 clients constantly, right? Because some of them are working. So essentially, I would say more high touch. I would say about 4 of them are more high touch. The other 2 are more, like maybe once a week when, they can manage. But the key is really to be able to devote the amount of time that they need. It's not the quantity of clients, it's the quality of service you provide. That's really the key there if you want, to work with a coach.
Thank you.
Good. Thanks, John. Very interesting. Larry posted a question, so I'll read that real quickly. And I'm going to post this to Alan. How would you advise a recent college graduate who earned a degree from Rutgers in information management in 2020 at age 32, who is trying to find a job during the pandemic?
Okay, well, congratulations on graduating Rutgers. I'm also a Rutgers graduate, and though a little bit different circumstance, I have a son who graduated in 2020 during the pandemic. So he's currently doing an internship. So I would say, try to explore all different options that are out there. Most of the things are remote at this point as far as the interview process, as well as even people starting remotely. So one of the key things I think that I stress with the job search for you, or I would for any client that I have, is the networking is really the key component to finding a position. Statistics are showing that 70 to 80% of people are landing a job through some kind of networking connection. So I would encourage you to reach out to people that can help you. That could be people in your network that are relatives, friends, colleagues that you've worked with in the past. College professors are great, to tap into as well too, since you're a recent graduate. Do, like Madeleine was saying too, I would say try to do a lot of research. Come up with a list of targeted companies that you're interested in and research them. Look on LinkedIn, try to connect with people who are working at those places and talk to them, have a informational type of interview with them, set it up for maybe 15 or 20 minutes to get as much information as you can about the company and try to see who's hiring. And again, during COVID, things are kind of topsy-turvy. So, you can look at some of the industries, that are successful now, with deliveries like Amazon and all the online types of places. So, you know, try to target things that are expanding and growing at this point, as opposed to, you know, things that are kind of on hold now, like more like, you know, airlines or hospitality or things. But they're definitely, based on my experience with working with people, people are getting jobs now. So even though it can be challenging during COVID, don't give up, and there's definitely going to be an opportunity that's out there for you.
Great, thank you very much, Alan.
I would also like to add one thing. I worked at Rutgers for many years, and we have career services offices that specialize in those areas. So it's important to reach out to career services. And even though we may not be in person now, they're still working. And the value of that is that when you are a Rutgers grad, a lot of Rutgers alums actually reach back to these companies, and you know, they really want Rutgers. So please go to career services. Sometimes career services is underutilized, and hopefully this person has done an internship during this time. So the matter that he's 32 is probably not so relevant, but hopefully the person has done an internship.
Yep, that sounds like great suggestions. Great, thank you very much. Hope that was helpful, Larry. A question next up is Robert Christian. So please unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good morning. I'm new to this job search, and my question for career coaching, and I see as I'm learning more and contacting more people, you get a lot of information or ads from career coaches, and they help you with, I'm seeing they help you with resumes and interviewing skills and learning LinkedIn and et cetera, and those things. My question is, do career coaches actually help you get a job? In other words, I'm just looking at you, Gary, for example. If I worked with you, you're going to say, Rob, let's work on your resume, and we cover this, we cover that, and then at the end you say, okay, Rob, I'm going to start reaching out and setting you up with company X, Y, and Z for an interview. I got a connection there, or things like that. Do career coaches actually help you reach out to land a job?
That is the bombshell question. I love it. I think I will speak for not only myself, but for all career coaches, that one of the things that we do not do is we do not pick up the phone and start calling around or writing letters on your behalf to help you find a job. What we do is we teach you the process of job search. And if you employ all the things that we recommend, you're going to be so successful, you'll be surprised. The thing with a lot of people that I work with is they finish with their resume and spiffing up the LinkedIn profile. And then really it's a matter of how systematically and aggressively you pursue opportunities. It's the thing that's going to determine your success. One of the things that I do is I don't just stop with resume and LinkedIn profile with anybody that I work with. I usually contact people pretty proactively to see how they're doing. And a lot of my coaching really goes beyond just preparing the marketing documents. So I think you can rely on a good career coach to help you step by step. The important thing is how you reach out, how you network, how you look for the opportunities that are a good match for your background, and then having somebody to talk to understand what's happening and to continue to coach you so that you will be successful in your job search.
Gary, does it matter, or is it better to have a career coach that is local to you in your location, or does that even matter during these times? Location, I mean where you live.
Yeah, you touch on an interesting point with me, because before pandemic, what I always did was sit down with a person in person. I would meet with people in local libraries and study rooms and provide that one-on-one personal contact, which I really miss. You make a much better connection with somebody naturally when you do that. However, in today's world, we have to be virtual, so I use FaceTime to be the way of working with people, which is at least more personal than just emailing. But it really doesn't matter now, I think, where your coach is and where you are, given the situation. Pick somebody that you're very, very comfortable with, and you'll have a good experience.
Thanks, Gary.
David, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. I was keeping me mute. One thing to be careful of, since Robert was asking about, do you pay someone to help you get those connections? It's considered an inappropriate practice to do that. Recruiters should not be asking money from candidates. It may also be illegal in New Jersey, because I know a number of these companies have been shut down by the state. So if you work with a recruiter, they're typically paid by the employer. So it's not really good practice to pay someone to find you those contacts. So it may be illegal, certainly not appropriate. So the next question is from Pat. I don't know which Pat, I can guess, but I'm not sure. So Pat, if you asked for a question, please unmute yourself and ask away.
Okay, I have a question for anyone on the panel. When you're dealing with a career coach, is it like dealing with a lawyer where in order to get the best result, you have to tell all, so to speak? And is there anything that career coaches to some degree don't want to hear?
Wow. Hey, Madeleine, I'm wondering what your thoughts are on that.
Okay. It's funny because when you said a lawyer, Pat, when you said a lawyer, I'm thinking, well, I normally tell people, don't worry, I don't charge like a lawyer. I'm not charging by the minute. I thought that's what you were referring to. As far as the tell-all is concerned, one of the things that you really need to realize is in order to be able to make the experience of working with a coach, with anybody really, the best is to be able to open up so they understand what the concerns are. If you are looking for a job and you're having problems finding it, why is that? So they do need to look inside. So I would say be as honest as you feel comfortable with, right? Because if there is an issue, like if, and this goes back to like some of the questions I always ask individuals to try and find out where they are in their job search. If you get interviews and you find out that you never get past the first interview, maybe you're saying something in there that you shouldn't, maybe something personal, maybe you got let go from your last job, or let's say fired, right? So if it was something of a sensitive nature, then yes, you definitely need to review that with the coach, that the person knows what the concerns are, and then they can guide you as to how you should be answering the interview questions, and not to lie, but how you can actually position yourself in a positive light. So in that sense, you definitely should be as open as you feel comfortable. What is too much information? Well, TMI would be if you obviously get into real personal things. Career coaches are not therapists. So in that sense, that doesn't mean that you can't treat them as friends. You can, but if what you're looking for is somebody that can guide you on an emotional level, if you're going through depression or something of that nature, then the career coach should be referring you to somebody else that can help you in that field. Right? Just like some career coaches just specialize in one particular area. I do end-to-end career coaching, but if one of my clients looks like they would be a great candidate for, starting a franchise, I actually refer them to a franchise coach because they will be able to do it, do it justice. So how honest? Be as honest as you can be, as honest as you're comfortable being, because then they'll have a full picture. And the ethics, I mean, I don't know if some people have it written down, some don't, but it should be treated like your doctor confidentiality, your, minister, priest, where whatever you tell them should be confidential and should not be shared with anybody else. So you should feel comfortable in that sense. But again, it's how comfortable you feel.
Thank you.
I hope that helps. You're welcome.
Yeah, and there is a type of coach, I don't believe any of our panel is of this type, called a life coach. And they tend to help you with a bit more what's going on with you personally and not focusing as much on career as our coaches here do. And so that's a possibility.
Can I sneak in one more question, David?
Sure, you got the mic, okay.
If I'm looking for a career coach, do any of the people on the panel have a set of questions that I would be smart to ask the career coach in order to make a decision about who I should pick?
So, yeah, hey, Chrystal, I'm wondering what you think about that.
I actually, before I respond to that, I want to piggyback on something. Sometimes people have mental health concerns, and I think, or disabilities, and I think that it's important that people feel comfortable and confident in sharing that. And as Madeleine said, it is confidential, but it could help you to respond to situations when you get an interview. So I think that it's important to be able to share things that may impact your job search or even the type of work that you may be interested in. I'm going to actually send that question about some of the questions that should be asked. I'm going to maybe give that to Alan.
Okay, thank you, Chrystal. Appreciate the handoff there. I didn't see the football coming across, but it's okay.
Sorry.
No worries. So Pat, I mean, I think it really depends on what you're looking for. So again, some of us specialize, some of us are more generalists. So I would say it's really, what are the drivers as far as what you're interested in? And you can, most of us have websites or we have a presence on social media like LinkedIn, so you can see some of what we specialize in to get an idea of what we bring to the table or what we can help with. So I wouldn't say, I would say it's not a one size fits all, or there's a whole bunch of questions to ask. But I mean, whenever you're looking for anybody, you're looking for a physician or an attorney, you have to talk to them and kind of get a feel whether there's chemistry there, whether they have the background and expertise, that you're interested in. So I think it's kind of, doing kind of a Q&A to start before you get involved in doing the coaching. And I think, I know I offer a free session to talk and see if it's the right fit for both of us. So I think that's really the best way to do it.
And,
thank you.
Yeah, sounds sensible. And also to pick up on Chrystal's point about, there may be some people who have a concern about mental health or mental health of their family. On our website, PSG of Mercer County, we have a resources tab. Now, we do have links to career coaches, including our panelists, but we also have a link to the Mental Health Association in New Jersey. So if you or someone who may be concerned in that way, you may want to at least start by checking out there. Of course, you could check with your own physician as well. But yeah, very important point. Another question up is from Michael Colber. So Michael, if you would like, unmute yourself and ask your question to the panel.
I think my question was kind of answered before, but maybe I'm looking for a slightly different perspective. What I'm wondering about is developing a search strategy, and a search strategy, I guess, for someone who kind of wants to change what they're doing a little bit, and how would one go about doing that, particularly when they were over 50, for instance, and don't have the exact experience to go into what they want to change to.
Okay, so Chrystal, your square is right next to Michael's square on my computer, so I will give that one to you.
Let me see if I understand the question. So you're 50 plus and you're thinking that you want to do something different and you want to do a career change. Is that correct?
Yes. Well, I guess it's kind of a minimal career change in that for the last dozen or more years, I've been doing specific type of computer programming, which is becoming obsolete. And being obsolete, and being over 50, I don't want to spend 10 years re-educating myself, but I don't want to spend 10 years looking for a job either. So, how does one sort of jump these can one develop a plan to jump these hurdles without having to really bang your head against the wall too hard in order to do that?
Okay. I think that you have the basis and the understanding of some technology, and there are short-term programs that would allow you to become updated with new technology and make yourself marketable. In the same way, you might want to consider and see if there are any opportunities, once again, this word internships. So sometimes the internships are non-paid. Sometimes these are opportunities where they're from temporary agencies also, and they're almost testing grounds. They're testing grounds to see how you work out. In the past, there have been opportunities for retraining for people that are, shall we say, more vintage like ourselves. And these opportunities allow you to update some of your skills. So you may want to check with the state employment to see if there are opportunities now for paid retraining for yourself. How would that be for you?
Well, for one, I live in New Jersey, but my unemployment's out of New York, and a woman from the New York Department of Labor actually emailed me and said, "I'm calling you today." Well, I never got a call. I emailed her back and questioned her about that, and I still never got a call. And then the other thing is, when I was out of work the last time, the day I got offered my last job, I was supposed to start a training program. And my understanding is if you're offered one of these grants and don't take it, you're not eligible until a certain number of years go by before you can then apply again. And I believe that I probably have not reached that number of years yet.
So this is the last comment that I'll make then. So I'm thinking that, there are a lot of online courses that could help you. And I think that possibly if you're not able to do something through a community college, a short-term community college program, you're not able to finance that yourself, think about some of the online courses that might give you a boost to update your resume and your credentials. And, we think about corporations, but they're also nonprofit organizations, government, and we should not forget government, they do hiring also. And at one point, a couple of months ago, there were 7,000 opportunities that the federal government had a need for. So, look at all, not even just corporations, but the nonprofit as well as the federal government, federal and state government. I hope those comments can help you a little bit, Michael.
Well, thank you.
Good, thank you very much. Next question, Ted Anea, hope I pronounced your last name right. Ted, unmute yourself and ask away your question. Is Ted still on the line? Looks like you've.
Hello, does everyone hear? Just shake your head if you hear me.
I hear you.
I'm new to this is my first meeting. I'm currently working. Okay, thank you.
You're cutting in and out.
I'm
Ted.
currently working with a career coach, and we've built. I'm sorry, this could be my mic here. Working with a career coach, We've built a resume and a LinkedIn profile. I'm beginning to reach out to some of my LinkedIn contacts about help with the job search. I've got 40-year IT background. I'm 64 years old. I left my IT job about a year ago. I figured I was burnt out and wanted to do something different. Very simple, and I did. I got a job in a hotel, checking in people at the front desk until COVID came along. So I've been unemployed since. I'm trying to look for another job and basically working with this career coach. We've come up with this resume and profile that's very IT centered. It's like we're shooting for the stars. To find another job managing a data center like I did 20 years. I think my resume has probably been built based on who I was as opposed to who I am. I don't care whether or not I get another IT job. I just want a really decent job, decent pay for another 5 years. 5 years from I'm 64 years old. 5 years from now, I don't want to be working anymore. I don't feel I need to be shooting for the stars. I'm kind of shooting for the middle. And I'm wondering if I should have this conversation with the career coach again. I did come out initially in the beginning when we started working, but pretty much saying maybe we need to revamp and start from the beginning on this resume. Because the first word on my resume is project manager. Well, that was 10 years ago. And I wasn't even a traditional project manager. I was working for IBM in a project office, doing various project management support type, but not really a project manager. I couldn't open up Microsoft Project and kick out a Gantt chart. Take me a week to figure it out. And I was just curious, anybody on the panel with some comments?
Maybe Madeleine, because you were talking a bit about this earlier.
Right. And actually, one of the things, and I'm sorry to hear that it sounds like your resume didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, but the thing to look at is not just what you did before or what you did when COVID hit, but what do you want to do next? You want to do something completely different from IT? Because what I'm listening to, and by the way, my background was in IT. So I can relate to, just wanting to do something different. But if you want to do something that is not IT related, then you definitely should have a resume that is focusing on the things that you want to do, right? And there's a way to do that. I always say your work history is your work history, but you need to position your resume for the role you're trying to get. Not the role you had, not the role you maybe were good at 20 years ago. It's just, you have to realize what is it that you want to do, and then figure out what are the skills that you need for that particular role. Yes, something happened, hospitality because of COVID, obviously a lot of people got downsized, but there are a lot of skills that you had, customer service skills that are very transferable into different industries, whether it's IT or, with Amazon, anything really. Customer service skills are high in demand. If that's something that's of interest to you, you would just have to, revamp the resume. And I really recommend that you speak to the coach. If you've been working with this person for a while, tell him or her that, you want to make the resume be positioned to the role that you want to achieve. But you have to first go into it and either know what you want or just hash it out with this person, because they need to understand what is it that you want to do. Again, it's not about your work history necessarily. It's about where do you want to go from here. A resume can be chronological, right? So it goes from latest to, the oldest. But again, it doesn't have to be like that if you want to do something different. From the sounds of it, you want to have more of a hybrid type of resume, right? A resume that's going to highlight the skills that you can transfer from, prior experiences to the role you want to get, so that they don't see project manager in there. I always like to start up a resume with a summary. That summary has to really be positioned for the role you're pursuing. If you've been working with this person for a while, I mean, I would hope they wouldn't even charge you to just, change the resume. If the resume was written correctly, you should be able to just take the data, move it around, but really position it so that they see you in the role you're trying to pursue. My recommendation is if you're done with the IT, and like you said, things change. You don't need to have, maybe make that much money anymore, or want to just have something that will give you satisfaction, make some money for a few years. There's a lot of things that you can do, but you definitely need to position that resume so that people see you for the role you're pursuing, not the one that you had 20 years ago. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And that's kind of the way I've been feeling, was that this resume is trying to get me the job I had 20 years ago. I couldn't do that job today. Technology is like passed me by. So, I mean, all the acronyms are different, but yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. And it's not just that, though. It's not that because the technology passed you by, like you said, because you're not used to it. Think about what you want to do. It's a great opportunity. Figure out what you want to do. You spend too much time. We all spend too much time on work as it is. Do something you enjoy, and that's going to be fulfilling. Okay.
David, you're on. It's mute again.
I keep muting myself to mute my background noise. I'm terribly sorry. I apologize about that. So thank you very much, Madeleine and Ted, for your question. Next question is from Ali Shamshad. So Ali, please unmute yourself and ask your question of the panel.
Oh yes, can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I guess for starters, similar to Larry, I also just recently graduated with a bachelor's degree from the College of New Jersey in business. Although I'm not 32, I'm 24. I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, I feel like for me, I've always had issues with writing a cover letter. I'm kind of wondering, like, when I'm constructing my cover letter, like, my initial idea was to have like a template that's like very, like a similar template to all of them, but just maybe change up a few words. But I'm just wondering, like, should I like completely start from scratch each time I write a cover letter? Because I'm applying to different companies each time. But I'm not entirely sure if the question I'm asking is making sense. If I need to reword it, I will.
So I know, Gary, maybe this would be a question for you to answer.
Yeah, I'm sorry because of the sound. I'm not sure that I understand everything that you said, Kevin. Want to give me that again, please? And
that's Ali. Yeah.
Oh yes. So when I'm constructing my cover letter, I'm just wondering, is it acceptable for me to have like, like a generic template, or does it need to be like reconstructed from scratch each time? Like, I start off like a very generic like intro, but then talk about one or two experiences in each paragraph I have. But I'm just wondering, like, should I just completely start from scratch each time?
Yeah, if you are applying for positions that really are a pretty good match for your background, you can use kind of a template to do this. And the template would be, of course, basically introducing yourself, a quick couple of 2 or 3 sentences about what your background and experience is, a couple of accomplishments. And then in the final paragraph, what you do is you connect those things to the position that you're looking at, where your experience, your responsibilities, and your accomplishments match up with what is being stated in the job opportunity. All right. And if you follow that as a basic format, you'll be able to use that same format pretty much for any and all opportunities that you're looking for. The other important thing in a cover letter kind of goes back to the importance of networking. And in cover letters, if anybody has a contact within a company that they're making an application for, and you say something like, by the way, I've had the pleasure of speaking with this person and so on and so forth, what happens then is, because someone knows you, your application is going to fly to the top of the applicant pack. I can't overemphasize this because The easiest thing to do in today's world for somebody that's looking for a candidate is to see through the applicant tracking system and so on and so forth, how much background there is that matches up with the job. The challenging factor is that the employer doesn't know you. But if someone in the organization knows you and will vouch for you and do things like carrying your resume to HR, or maybe even contacting a recruiter if it's a recruiter you're working with, this makes a huge, huge difference. I have seen people get interviews and then get jobs who were maybe a little less qualified than somebody that didn't have the personal contact, and that's the way of the world. So the personal contact in there absolutely should be developed and should be mentioned in your cover letter.
Thank you.
Okay. Terrific. Thank you very much, Gary. Here's a question from Alex. He typed it in. Some people I see on such networking group meetings for a long time. Why is that? How about Alan? Because you participate with groups like ours also.
I'm not sure, Alex, if you're talking about me being there or not.
I don't think he's talking about you and me and Gary. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'll skip that part of the answer. I mean, you know, there are all different reasons, I would say. Some people are just in a situation where, you know, finding their next opportunity is more challenging because, you know, technology has changed or the skill set isn't, you know, as much in demand as it used to be. So it can just take longer. Some people, you know, enjoy coming to the meetings because they find them very helpful and productive, and they're a way of learning as well as a way of networking and being with people, especially, you know, before we were going virtual. So I think there's a real support aspect to why people come and they keep coming. And, you know, I guess potentially, you know, people can be using it as a crutch to some extent also. So, I mean, everybody's circumstance may be different. You know, I think the networking groups, PSG in particular, because I'm, you know, heavily involved in it, are very helpful to come because the support is great. The people that speak week to week, you know, the topics are very timely, and I find that I come weekly and I'm learning something new every time, you know, from the speakers. So I find it very valuable. And so, you know, I think it just depends on people's circumstance. There can be a variety of things, but I would recommend that people not only network through job seeker support meetings, but go to meetings through trade associations or groups, you know, where the people that are coming to those meetings are working. So, you know, people that are in job search can be supportive to a certain extent, but you want to have a network of people that are employed as well too, that have connections to the companies you're interested in or the industries you're interested in. So I wouldn't put all the eggs in the basket of just the job seekers networking type groups. Go to the groups that also have more people that are employed at this point as well.
Thank you very much, Alan. Thanks for the question, Alex. Okay, our next question comes from the Great Gazoo. Okay. And so what is your advice to older job seekers? And do you think the pandemic will make it worse for older job seekers who going forward might be seen as less desirable than younger candidates? So I'm going to I'm interested in two perspectives. Somebody who, well, there's four of us who are considered older job seekers or at that age, and one who's not on the panel. So let's start with, how about Chrystal? So your advice for older job seekers.
So one of the things that I want to mention is that we have to look at organizations that value experience and wisdom. I think sometimes we think about corporations, and some of the corporations just want newbies and people fresh out of school and so forth. But if you think and you broaden the perspective of the different niches in the world of work and what you want to do, once again, I get back to nonprofits that may value your work, and nonprofits, that does not necessarily mean that their pay is very low. Some will be modest, and it all depends on what you're seeking at the particular time. Once again, the federal government that I mentioned, and the federal government hiring process can be arduous, but that's something to consider also. And so they don't have the same bias in different areas. The federal government, and I want you to know that there are immediate needs and hires, and then there's the general population. So look at usjobs.gov and take a peek at that. So I would just say it all depends. Are you in the medical field where there's a high demand now and there's a need for expertise? What is your particular niche? Are you trying to change, or is this something that you've been doing? So I would say it's going to be, it's not a walk in the park for sure, but I would not want you to become discouraged. Definitely, you must do your work. You must do your homework, as other coaches has mentioned, but, remain optimistic. For the general population, before all of this happened, you had to do a lot of work, 40 hours a week of job searching, networking, and all of those good things. But don't be discouraged. I think there's still opportunities out there, although it may take longer. And just remember, don't give up. You must persist.
Thank you. And it's an interesting question. It's one that comes up a lot in groups like ours. So I'll just ask for another opinion, maybe from Madeleine, what you're seeing or what your thoughts are on that.
Okay. And obviously, I think once the pandemic is over, then we'll really see, what's going to happen. But I think this, in the long term, I don't think this is really going to hurt the, over 50 population as much as people think it might. Just because of the fact that now companies are seeing how well individuals can work from home virtually, and at least in my experience, what I'm seeing is that a lot more companies are looking to have their employees work from home. And if you think about it, when you look at the younger generation, they would prefer, most of them in my experience, to actually be in an office, have that camaraderie, be able to be networking. And a lot of companies are looking now to save money on, just floor space. They want more individuals to work from home because guess what? They realize they can do it. So they're not traveling as much, and a lot of the positions that used to be in the office are now virtual. And I don't think the younger generation is really going to want to just be working from home and not talking to anybody. And, the rest of us have been working for a while, really value working virtually. I know I do. I love meeting clients, but, when you're writing something and you don't need to be, talking to somebody in a meeting, you value the comfort of being able to do it, where it's nice and quiet, no interruptions. So in that sense, I think that the older generation is not going to actually see something negative out of this, because they are going to see a lot more opportunities to work from home virtually. Of course, only time will tell, but again, I don't think that that's going to be an issue.
And, I'm going to ask a follow-up question related to this. What about for possibly, well, anybody, but specifically older people looking for consulting opportunities, contract positions, instead of, or in addition to, full-time employment? I'm wondering, Alan, maybe what's your opinion on that?
Well, I think anybody that's come to the PSG meetings in the past and actually has heard your talk about that, we're in a gig economy to a big extent where companies are not necessarily looking to hire permanent employees, because of the cost of the benefits and things. So when I'm working with somebody, I talk to them and see what their situation is. Can they afford not to have benefits? Maybe they have it from another source, a spouse or another avenue. So contracting is certainly something that I feel is appropriate to look into. And a lot of positions now are very project oriented. So it's certainly something that was here prior to COVID. I think it's still here during COVID and even after COVID. So I think the more flexibility you have as far as the type of role that you can take, the better off you are. I mean, Marty Lattman says, you know, your full-time, you know, your job, I guess, of you're going to be more going through transition than just being a full-time permanent job. I'm not saying it exactly as eloquently as he said it, but you know, it's the way of the world these days that, you know, things are not, you know, lasting where people have a 30-year career at a company. So that it's a lot more project and contract oriented. So if that's an option for you, it's certainly worth pursuing that. And it gives you experience for one, you know, there's a paycheck coming in, and like David, you've said many times before in our meetings, then, you know, even if you're not getting benefits, at least you're getting income that can help pay for those benefits. If you're not working, then you're paying for those benefits anyway, and you don't have the income coming in. So it's important.
Terrific. Thank you very much. So we got some nice perspectives. So
David,
Lisa,
excuse me.
Yeah, sure.
I'd like to share another angle on this.
Okay.
And that is the reality of age is age. And that means that there's a lot of bias out there for hiring younger people. And even if you would say, well, I'm interested in the position and I'll take the job, and I'm older, there's still a kind of an inherent bias that you're working against. One of the things that's been helpful for the people that I've coached is realize that the larger the companies and the closer they are to being top fortune companies, the greater this issue. If you're talking about the top Fortune 100 or top Fortune 50, they're more youth biased and age biased than some of the medium and smaller size companies. So if you are indeed looking for something full time, you're much, much better off looking at companies that are medium or smaller size. They tend to be much more flexible when it comes to full-time positions and hiring people who are more senior. And to share a personal experience, I went through this. I worked for top fortune companies up through about age 57 or 58. And I realized at that point that I was running into the headwinds of age, and I started moving toward medium and smaller companies. And I was very successful, very, very happily employed, because they were looking for someone who had more experience from a larger organization. So that is another part, an important part of developing job search strategy when you are more senior. And if anybody wanted to speak with me personally, I would be very happy to share how I maneuvered my way through that situation, even in the late 60s. So please contact me if you do.
Great. Thank you, panelists. And I will be posting all 4 contact information for all 4 panelists a little later. It also is in 2 places on our website. I'll let you know a little later just where to get that. Lisa Ontel has a question. Do career coaches have certification or degrees? And I guess degrees in career coaching. Who might be wanting to answer that one?
Yes, most coaches go through training programs, and they do vary. And you know, I guess all of the coaches can talk about that. My background is in counseling, and my whole work history has been working either in universities, colleges, community agencies, and I did go through a career coaching and transition program also. So I would say for me, yes, and I think most coaches, they do have various certifications.
Is it a bad thing or a good thing to ask the person who may be your coach to let the person like me know if you have a degree, or if they're just setting up a shingle and they don't have any formal training? Is it a good thing to ask?
I'll let one of the other coaches, I would say yes, but I'll let one of the other coaches say yes, answer the question.
Gary?
Yes. So the real question is that somebody should ask is, how'd you get into this? What's your experience? And in my case, during my career, I was downsized 4 times. Each time that I was downsized, I had the benefit of professional outplacement support, and it was with 4 different organizations. So my qualifications are been there, done that. A lot of outplacement support and outplacement training, attending a lot of the kinds of meetings that we have in the area, like PSG or Mercer. And between my personal experience and the training opportunities that you get in working professionally, that's how I got where I am. And what I do is I share a lot of my personal experience, especially the downsizings and how I went through it with my clients. I do not have a professional certification, although I have looked at those things as possible opportunities. I don't see that that makes that much of a difference. I think when you choose a coach, the chemistry between you and making sure that the person has a lot of experience coaching other people or having been downsized themselves is the thing that will make the greatest difference.
Thank you. Madeleine?
Yes, and I agree with him, and I'll tell you, like I said before, I come from an IT background, so I studied computer science and math in school, but all throughout my career, I would end up coaching people on the side. I never charged anybody, but as a manager, I went through actual formal training from, interviewing to just, helping people growing in their development. And when I eventually decided to leave IT and go over to start my own career coaching practice, I went through, different courses, and I continue to do that just because, I think if you learn something new every day, it's great. I myself don't have any formal coaching certifications because I have not felt the need for them. And honestly, I did look into them, wondering if that would dissuade some people from working with me. But I found that I didn't find any of the actual certifications that were out there to really be in line with somebody that wanted to be able to do what I do, which is provide that end-to-end career coaching where I am not a, let's say, I guess as David said earlier, I'm not a life coach, right? I'm not a psychologist. And I found that my in-person experience and also, having gone through downsizing myself, and I actually deliver outplacement for another company. Also, that in itself has been enough. So I have not gone to any formal certifications. I've gone to training, but I think the most important thing is really for you to make that connection, because let's face it, just because somebody has a college degree doesn't necessarily mean they're ready to deliver on a particular task, right? So that's something that my recommendation would be: don't just look at the credentials, talk to the person and see if you feel comfortable. Do they have the experience? Do they really connect with you at that level that you need to connect with somebody in order to help them to the next level? It's kind of like nurses. Some people are nurses, they have a degree, but their bedside manner is really lacking, right? So, that's kind of like, I know it might not be a great analogy, but that's kind of the way I think about it.
Thank you for your answer.
That is a great question.
Thank you, Alan. I'm not going to leave you out.
Going last, I think just about everything has been said.
I'm sorry.
No worries though, Lisa. But I would say too, I would kind of piggyback what Madeleine had said too, that you really, you need to have chemistry with the person that you're going to work with. And that goes back to the other question about questions to ask a career coach. So it's like when you talk to somebody and have an introductory meeting with them, it's to get an idea whether they have what you need. And you can certainly ask them if they have credentialing and certifications. I'm not going to go into my whole background because, I think David wants to get to more questions too, but it's a combination of, some people have it and some people don't. I don't have a formal certification. I do have training, and I have continuous training. I'm involved in other coaches groups. There's one in particular, the International Coaching Federation, ICF. They do a lot with the credentialing, but I'm involved in that group as well, and I meet regularly with other coaches to share information and constantly taking classes. And a lot of it, I think, for career coaching purposes, different than probably life coaching, is what your experiences have been. And a lot of us have been through other corporate settings and things like that too. So I've been downsized a number of times myself. I've gotten through outplacement myself a number of times, and I've mentored and coached and trained people as part of my corporate background too. So it's using some of those skill sets. And I guess it kind of piggybacks also to what somebody was asking about, making a career change too. So how do you make a change? Madeleine was in IT, I was in finance, and accounting for most of my career. So how do you do that? So there are ways of taking the skills and the ability that you have and things that maybe you were doing as part of your job that weren't considered your job that you can use and transition to something else. So that's another example of that.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. I appreciate everyone and their answers.
Sure.
Good, and thank you for the question. And also be aware there are professional associations that career coaches can belong to as well, and that also gives them access to resources that they can help their clients. So another question you may want to ask as you work with and meet and speak with career coach. The next question comes from Alex. How can you find out the fees a career coach is charging before the initial engagement? And since we've all answered the last question, we will start over, and I will ask Chrystal.
I would just ask. Sometimes they're posted, sometimes they're not, but feel comfortable in asking about the fees. When I engage with someone, I do have a no obligation free consultation for the first meeting. And people are free to ask me about the fees.
Okay, and that seems like certainly a very sound approach. So terrific. Ali has a question. As someone who does not have a lot of job experience but worked on a lot of projects in college, would those projects be good things to put on my resume and cover letter? They're related to my jobs, the jobs I'm interested in. Gary, what are your thoughts on that?
The simple answer to that is absolutely yes. That's the experience that you have to market. Not just the specific things that you did, but the fact that you did all of that. Included in there are your transferable skills. So those are the things you absolutely want to leverage. Projects are great things to put on cover letters, resumes, etc.
Oh, terrific. Thank you very much. Michael Colber has a question. So Michael, please unmute yourself and ask your question.
My question is directed to Gary because one of his last statements made me think about something. You were talking about age discrimination in the corporate world, and I've kind of decided I've had enough of corporate USA. Now, my last couple of jobs with smaller companies, what happened in the last one was they happened to find, it was in a small financial firm, and they happened to find a younger Fortran programmer who actually worked for a bank. So they decided he was a better fit, even though I did a lot for them. But how does one go about really finding the smaller companies? I mean, the sole proprietorships, the LLCs and things like that. As opposed, it's easy to find the big corporations. It's just harder to find out in my mind what the need of the smaller companies are who don't particularly advertise, I guess.
Yeah, that is a very, very challenging situation. One of the things you can start with, if you live somewhere in this area, which I assume you do, is the PSG of Mercer site contains a listing of over 2,500 companies categorized by type of industry, type of company. Now, one of the things you could do is you could go through that because that includes obviously the large companies, medium companies, and small ones. And you just have to sit there and do a little bit of good old-fashioned research using going from that and going to Google and going to the company's website would certainly be a way to do that. But just looking for small companies per se, obviously very, very arduous task.
I know that one of the things available, but of course with COVID, it's more difficult. And we recently just moved to West Orange, and I haven't even gotten a library card or anything yet. But there's a number of databases I know the libraries subscribe to that you can use for various research, except, like I said, under COVID, I don't know how you actually go about getting some of that done. How you access your library, I guess.
Well, try calling them up and see if you can do things remotely. They might be open now, they might not, but see what you can do remotely, and I'm sure there's online access to things as well too.
Because what is there? There's some database, something USA, and I can't think of what the name of it is now. I used it quite a bit in the past, and they give you the size of the company and what industry it's in, and who the officers are, that kind of thing.
Yeah, the database I think you're thinking about is called Reference USA.
Yes, that's it.
And so it is certainly available through your local library. However, if you have another New Jersey library card, you could use the website jerseyclicks.com. So if you don't have a South Orange library card, but if you moved from another town, and the reason why I mention that is Jersey Clicks is the New Jersey State Library website. And through that website, you can find access to Reference USA and other databases. And Reference USA, it may have gone through a name change. It was acquired by a company called Data Axle. So it's possible that's a name change. But you can just Google Reference USA to get the name. But again, Jersey Clicks, that's the New Jersey State Library System. And if you need access to the website, if you can't find it on your own, it is on the resources page of the PSG of Mercer County website. So that.
Okay.
Somebody just posted it in chat also, so you can look under that. Ted posted it.
Oh, okay. Yep. There it is. So terrific. So good. Thank you. Next question is from S. Davi. I have a question for all the coaches. So, well, let's see. Unmute yourself and feel free to please ask your question.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Lajana, and I have spent my career in business and IT for about 23 years, which has been really fulfilling a career for me. So in 2018, I attended a life coaching program called the Life Coach, and I finished that. So now my focus is shifting from projects and computers to really helping people, making difference in people's lives. That is my passion in my heart. So it is a huge, huge shift for me. And I'm shifting from my career to my life calling assignment. So here are my 3 questions for all the coaches, and I would love for all the coaches to respond. So the first question is, have you been in this kind of transition? How did you do it? What strategies or suggestions can you share that helped you in your transition? And I thank you all.
Well, I'm just going to excuse myself and say you've asked 3 questions of 4 coaches, which is 12 answers. And given that it's 11:30, I'm gonna just defer a little bit just to one coach to get that just for time. We've got a couple more questions. So I hope for your understanding in that case. So,
Sure.
so good. Thank you very much. Madeleine, I'm curious what your thoughts are on that.
Okay. And that's, by the way, congratulations on finding this, well, deciding to go with this particular path. That's a passion of yours, because that's pretty much the same route that I took. And I'll tell you, the one thing that I knew I definitely needed to do is develop a plan of how I was going to get from point A to point B, meaning, you know, transitioning from, in my case, the IT world over to being a full-time coach. And I'm going to answer your 3 questions, but I'm actually going to do it kind of all mixed in together because, you know, they kind of interlap. One of the things I knew I had to do is definitely position myself with an LLC. That's a limited liability company. The reason for that is that I did grow up in New Jersey. It is a very litigious state. I decided, you know what, I want to make sure that nobody comes back to me and says, well, you did a resume for me or you did a cover letter for me and I didn't get a job, right? Because the role of the coach is to help position you, right? Whatever it is that you're doing. So I knew that that was one thing I wanted to do. I did not go to LegalZoom. I basically went to a lawyer and had them set it up for me. So I have the name that I want. I'm protected, right? Because, you know, and nothing has ever happened. But again, that's just me wanting to have that little bit of security. Okay. The other thing that I did is I actually worked with somebody to help me put together my value proposition. Now, this is something that I also can provide clients with now. And could I have done it myself? Yes, I could have. However, I wanted to make sure, because oftentimes, as you'll know, it's a lot easier to get something that's that crucial when you have somebody else's insight into it, somebody that has been doing it. So I worked with somebody to get my value proposition done, and that actually allowed me to figure out what it was that I wanted to provide as a service, who the clientele was going to be, how to go about positioning myself and marketing myself. Because as I'm sure you know, you want to do the best that you can and you want to make a difference. But you want to make sure that you position yourself in a manner that you attract the right clients, meaning that they don't confuse you for somebody that maybe is a therapist or maybe is, you know, a different life coach or something like that. So, you know, those are things that I did. And the transition piece of it, you have your LLC, you have your plan, which is the first thing, working with somebody for the value proposition and getting the LLC together. And then one of the things that I did after that is the networking piece of it. And one of the things that you need to realize is people need to feel comfortable with you. So like all the coaches have said, when they talk to somebody for the first time, you're talking to them, you spend an hour with them, that's for free. You know, they don't pay you for that, so that you can get to know each other and then see whether or not you are a good fit. So basically that's, you know, in a very Reader's Digest version, that's my recommendation. Hopefully I got all 3 questions answered.
Yes, you did. Thank you so much. I so appreciate it.
Good. Thank you very much. And we do have, this will be our last question. It's the last one I see requested. So it's from John Sampson is asking a question. So John, if you don't mind, unmute yourself before we wrap up.
Thank you, David. This is for all of you. I'd like an answer from all of you. Will you all take phone calls nights, Sundays, and Saturdays from your clients?
So I'm available. This is Chrystal. I'm available on Saturdays. And I also have evening hours.
Okay, but somebody gets a brainstorm at 12 o'clock, they can't call you up. 12 a.m.
I don't know about Chrystal. You can call me, but I probably will not have my phone on. I might be on the computer though. The phone might not be on, but the computer will be on because I do work late hours. But you know, as far as clients are concerned, a lot of my clients are actually working and they can't talk during the day. So I'm very flexible. As long as we can schedule it ahead of time, I'm available on the weekends and evenings as well. So that, you know, it's always something that you can be worked out.
Yeah. Alan?
I have flexibility too, you know, within reason. My phone won't be on at midnight for taking calls either, but I certainly have talked to clients on weekends and evenings. So I try to work around the schedule of the clients as much as possible.
Gary?
Yeah, and I would respond similarly. However, there are exceptions, and I'm working with somebody right now that really has a crisis situation. They have multiple job offers, and it's a question of managing the time on how they're going to respond to one versus the other, prioritizing those. And this person is getting in touch with me late in the evening, but I know what the situation is. So as far as I'm concerned, this is like ER. You got to do what you got to do in responding to somebody that has an urgent matter to take care of. So I am very flexible with that. I don't recognize any difference when a person is in job search between Monday through Friday or Saturday or Sunday. And I've had many conference calls on the weekends.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. And as I said, last question, there was a question that came up. So this will be absolutely the last question. And it's from Harry, realizing coaching can be universal, but do each of these career coaches have a specialty area of influence for business or function? Perhaps it's pharma or medical or IT or DoD, technology, etc. So I'm wondering, as coaches, do you work with your clients in specific business functions or areas? And ladies first, so Chrystal?
So years ago, when I started my practice, they asked, there was something, niche and get rich. I have a broad range of areas, and I work in education, nonprofit, and the business sector, as well as recent college graduates. So those are my areas of specialization, although I do write resumes for all and work with people in that way too.
You're on mute again, David.
Oh, Madeleine, let's continue with ladies first, a group of ladies first.
Thank you. I actually don't have a particular area that I cater to. It doesn't really matter to me what industry the person is in. Obviously, my background was in IT, but I have individuals that are in, finance, healthcare, pharma. It really doesn't matter because, the bones are the same, right? The structure is going to be the same as far as what you want to do, how you coach somebody to get to the next step. So the industry really doesn't matter. It's, more work on me that I end up researching quite a bit more, but, that's fine because, again, I love to learn. So if somebody comes to me from an industry I'm not familiar with, that just means I'll do a little bit more homework on that one. But no, not a problem at all. I have clients across all industries. More fun that way.
Thank you. Alan?
I have clients across all industries and functions too. I have I had said previously, I have a background in accounting and finance, and also I've worked a lot in pharmaceutical, a bit in consumer, and some in telecom. So people that have found me on the internet, sometimes it's because of, they see that they're interested in, pharma. So they see that I have that in my background based on my LinkedIn profile. So they might gravitate toward me more, but I work with people in all different functional areas and a lot of different industries. So I'm comfortable regardless of what they're looking for.
Thank you. Gary?
Yeah, I've worked across all industries. I don't specialize in any particular industries or sector. And this is something I've learned going along that I really enjoy. I enjoy the diversity of working with somebody and learning about what it is they do in the industry that they've worked in, especially if I have not. And what I've found is the principles of coaching and developing cogent writing, bringing out experience, accomplishments, and value propositions is a generic skill that I've developed that works across all positions and all kinds of industries.
Well, terrific. Thank you very much. Well, first of all, to the coaches, thank you so much for your time today and giving of yourself to our group. Thank you very much to Chrystal McArthur, Gary Landy, Alan Kirshner, and Madeleine Elmgren. And thank you to everyone who offered a question or had a question for us. What I'm going to do right now quickly as we wrap up is I'm going to share my screen, which has their contact information on it. This is also going to be posted in PSG of Mercer County in our website. On the right side of our website is a link called Meeting Presentation Documents, and this will be there as well. So there's the full screen. So hopefully you can get this, take a screenshot. As we wrap up in just a few minutes, I'll also put each of these in chat. You're welcome to download the chat in a few minutes. Downloading chat you can do from your screen, your GoToMeeting screen. In the upper left corner is a logo of GoToMeeting. It's actually a menu. If you click on it, a drop-down menu, and you can get an option for download chat. So just in a moment, as I wrap up the meeting, I will post this information there as well, hopefully to make it as easy as possible for you to follow up with any of the career coaches that you may like to do so. So thanks again. This is a very valuable session, and I really appreciate everybody's time today, so thank you for that. Just want to let you know also what's coming up over the next couple of weeks. Next week, next Friday is Christmas Day, and the following Friday is New Year's Day. So we at PSG of Mercer County will not be meeting for the next 2 weeks because of the holidays. So hopefully you will be celebrating your holidays happy and safe and careful as possible. And so the next 2 weeks we will be off. We will be back right here on January 8th, Friday, January 8th, and our presentation will be the way to assess your career skills. So it seems to be a good follow-up to this career coach program where you had the opportunity to ask some of your questions. So we will be talking about the way to assess your career skills. Other groups that are meeting for the next few weeks, well, for all time, I guess, the Career Support Group meets when they met in person in Hamilton, New Jersey, every third Saturday of the month. They are now meeting virtually, of course. So you can go to careersupportgroup.org, careersupportgroup.org. Tomorrow morning, they will be meeting at 8:30. Just go to the website or their meetup group. And Eileen Sinnett will be presenting virtually, Body Language for Job Seekers. And you may wonder, why is she doing a virtual presentation on body language? She is covering virtual programs as well as when you meet in person with someone, body language cues. So body language for job seekers. Every Tuesday afternoon at 7:30 or evening, 7:30 to 9 in the evening is New Jersey Job Seekers, meets virtually 7:30. I will again post the link in our LinkedIn group, the PSG LinkedIn group. If you have the link from their group, it's the same one. They reuse it week after week. PSG of Central New Jersey does meet every Monday at 10:30 in the morning, psgcnj.biz, psgcnj.biz. And also PSG of Morris County meets each Wednesday at 9 in the morning or 9:30 in the morning, psgmc.org, psgmc.org. So that's what's coming up for the next few weeks. And so I want to once again thank our panelists, Chrystal, Gary, Alan, and Madeleine. Thank you so much for participating. These were great insights, great assistance you gave to our participants today. And for everybody on the call today, hope that you have a very happy holiday, a very happy new year. Stay safe and healthy, and we hope to see you real soon on January 8th, hopefully here or maybe virtually at one of the other meetings. So with that, I will simply say goodbye, everybody.